Hello and welcome to the week event. My name is Adrian,
Hello, my name is Sammy.
and today we are delighted to have with us DOTSAMAHUB team. How are you, Zero?
Yeah, I'm very well. My name's Zero. I'm representing DOTSAMAHUB. Thank you guys for bringing me along for the interview. Yeah, excited to see what we can get together.
That's perfect. Thank you, Zero, for being with us today. And yeah, in these talks we are going to talk about Web3, blockchain, Polkadot and Kusama, and some other projects. So let's start with the first question. Zero. Let's start with a general question. Let's talk about blockchain. What do you consider is blockchain? And can you explain our listeners what blockchain is?
Yeah, so for me, I would describe a blockchain as a distributed database or a distributed ledger. It's decentralized in ways that it uses nodes and computer points that different operators would obviously operate, and that's what creates this decentralization. So, blockchain is basically something that stores data electronically in a digital format and can be used for almost anything. But where we're so early within blockchain, we're sort of discovering what those use cases may be. Um, so, yeah, I would look at it just like a digital database or a digital ledger, whatever kind of way you like to look at it.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you, Zero. Because in fact, many people think that blockchain is totally, Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it can be used in many things to go to give transparency and to the people that want to store at the database their own their own assets in the blockchain, and the blockchain is totally secure and it's totally transparency. And yeah, I think that it's blockchain because we can use blockchain in many aspects of our life. It's like when internet starts developing, the people don't trust internet because they think internet was harmful for their life. But later, who don't have internet? and and yeah, I think that blockchain will be the blockchain technology will be something like that, because blockchain technology is going to develop and is developing amazing tools right now. What do you think,
Oh, indeed, I totally agree. I mean, if you look at things on a bigger landscape, let's say 10 years from now, even 5 years from now, that most of the things we're still using today or that are currently available on the market will not look, feel, or be used in the same way as what they're known today. I think some of the biggest challenges for people coming in is dealing with the what and the seed phases and things. So I think once we can simplify certain aspects around that, is that you will see more people coming in. But the use cases, again, as more people come in and it becomes more user friendly, I think that use cases will evolve way past what people like myself and yourself and people already here actually visualize, because bringing new people in always sort of like it puts another idea out there, and it's once a new idea is out there, you only need to sort of like grow on it and expand on it. And I think personally, the blockchain itself, regardless of what chain you're looking at, but as a total infrastructure, will change current infrastructures in almost every single industry that currently is available today. And it could be used for medical filing storage, for non-fungible tokens for DIDs, passports, driving licenses. You could track people's carbon footprints with non-fungible tokens. I think the use cases are endless, and I think that if I'm being honest, if we go back sort of 10 years and look again how a mobile phone was 10 years ago, is sort of we're in the same sort of time frame with blockchain. And I think in the next 5 or 10 years, again, as I said, is that you're going to see so many things come into blockchain, and so many types of businesses utilize blockchain because it benefits every business out there, and it's just finding your niche and how to implement your niche within blockchain as a whole. But the Web3 landscape is, for me, about digital ownership and people being able to sort of like self custody and truly own everything that is actually theirs. You know, if that's the right way to word it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I totally agree with you. Many people talks about the revolution, the two industrial revolution, as the greatest technological revolution. But we are really living through a third industrial revolution right now. You can see the mobile phones, the computers, how you can get a product from China and get it in your house, only in 1 week, or the day after you buy it. And yeah, I think that it's we are living now a new industrial revolution, and that is why the blockchain technology is helping us to improve this, because the blockchain technology is going to introduce a very strong industry that is now keeping on, cryptocurrencies, Polkadot, Kusama, and we are going to see it more strong these following years. But the evolution the technology is here, and is here to stay it. Now we are going to jump in the next question. Sammy, please.
Yes, of course. So once we talk about the definition of the blockchain, can you explain us, Cyril, what advantage does the blockchain bring to us, and if you think that is there any drawback?
Okay, so advantage wise, again, I sort of have to look back 10 years to be able to scale out 10 years. And I think it gives you a unique perspective of when you actually look back at how technology was to be able to look forward at how it will be. So if I'm looking at advantages, I would say that blockchain will bring a lot of automation. And if I was to give like an example of automation, I would say that I would have to locate Polkadot's ecosystem and look specifically at Oak network, because Oak is a layer one chain specific for automation. And then I would start looking at things like medical records, and they would be brought onto the blockchain via possibly protocol like Unique, again in Polkadot, and you would be able to have your medical records inside a non-fungible token and have a DID attached to it by using Kill. And these are all separate layer one chains. And like I said, when you then start tapping into other use cases that could be overseas payments, because overseas payments are absolutely ridiculous in terms of transaction fees and how much you have to send. So there's that probably will be, in honesty, the biggest use case, the overseas remittance payments, for me, being honest. But blockchain's got so many advantages. It's everything can come onto the blockchain. I mean, if we look at current world problems like supply chains, there's a lot of supply chain issues right now, and we could have those things tracked on sort of like, again, using Polkadot as an example, we could have all of those things tracked on Origin Trail. And you could have all, like, your medical files would be stored inside storage platforms. So you would then start using things like Trust, and then you can tap into File for computation. And like I said, it's really, the use cases become limitless. Now, we have faults. I believe that the last part of your question was what are sort of like the challenges for that. And I think ultimately is how you onboard people. So primarily, we find ourselves having spaces, interviews and conversations about adoption, when actually it's probably building something that you don't have to explain to someone that's going to work. And straight away from point of entry, you have to explain how to get into a wallet and how to use that wallet. So I honestly believe that when that becomes user friendly, when that becomes simplified, and maybe all the technologies out there, I mean, because Polkadot's such an amazing thing that you can look at each chain like it was a piece of Lego and sort of deconstruct it and reconstruct it however way you want. And this is what Substrate vision was, for people to be able to recycle those pallets, which are basically pieces of code. For those that non-technical, they're just pieces of code that allow people to recycle main components of a blockchain. And obviously you can change those components inside and adapt them any way you will, but it's, for me, looking at things in Legos and assembling it, and use cases, as I say, I think they really become limitless. I don't believe in limits, and I think that by making things like the wallet easier to use, more user friendly, more simple, just like downloading PayPal, if you will, and setting up an account and funding it or transferring money. When things become that simple, you'll see a lot of more people come in that will bring a lot of brand new ideas with them that could be the most simplest idea that most of us are overlooking, because we're trying to look at the things that are, how can I say, more complicated to fix, when really those most complicated things exist in every single part of the world. There's no point trying to change them. You just need to have something else that sort of changes the way that people view that thing. And I think that's how we kind of onboard people to create further visions from where all of us combined that are in cryptocurrency or Web3, whatever you want to call it right now, is that more people will bring more ideas, and more ideas bring more adoption. So I'm excited to see what can come over the next 5 or 10 years, but I think that, again, blockchain will look completely different then to what it does now. There will be a lot of problems on the way, but some problems are exciting, you know. I mean, when you look at Polkadot and you start considering that they all got their own governance models, etc., and you start implementing cross-chain dApps, it's what happens when one chain don't agree with another, you know. And I think that those problems ultimately, I look forward to running into those kind of problems, because again, it allows us to grow and sort of, again, scale out. But I think if you can look at things in that way, you may be able to actually solve the problem before it arrives. And I think this is what attracts me with Polkadot, because Gavin had that vision that was already 10 years ahead. I hope that answers the question well. I've probably gone a little bit off. I always do, but I like to give detailed answers, but sort of in a diluted way also, and not too technical. So yeah, I hope that's okay for an answer.
Yeah, Shiro, it was amazing. It was so clear that your idea. I love the example of Lego, and I think that it was very clear. Now we are going to jump into a section that I love, section about web. We have seen an evolution of webs. You know, we have Web 1.0, and it was static with any functionality. Then we evolve to the Web 2.0, where the user can interact, can log in, and can storage the life in, for example, social media like Instagram or Twitter, and can post tweets and can interact with the interface with the webs. And now we are seeing an evolution, the Web 3.0, and we are fortunate that we have an expert about Web 3.0, that is you, Zero. Can you explain to our listeners what is this new evolution?
Okay, so in the simplest way that I can, how can I put this? In the simplest way to word it is, Web 1 was read. Web 2 is read and write, and Web 3, sorry, is read, write, and own. So best way to put this is when you use services like Google, okay, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, people don't have no inclination as to what's actually happening behind the thing that you call the app, which is merely just the UI. Now, UI is a user interface, again, for those that don't know, and the UX is the user experience. So you've got the back end, which is the code. And if you look at Facebook as a prime example, it's the most used social platform in the world, right? It's got billions of daily active users, you know, and what it is with Facebook is you can just open your phone, go to your app store, download the app, put some details in, and you're using the app. You don't need to worry about anything that's happening in the back end. And most people don't know. And the thing that Web3 does, if I'm to be honest, is changes that. And it's sort of why I think that most of us try to explain the back end when really we don't have to. Again, we don't have to explain the back end. All we need to do is let people know that, for example, when you put the information into Facebook, you're putting data into Facebook, and that data belongs to you, which is then packaged and sold to other companies by Facebook. And at the same time, if you're a business, I suppose you would pay for Facebook ads, right? And again, you're putting money into Facebook. Again, Facebook still sell your data. So what the blockchain and Web3 does is takes back that ownership, that takes back that data. It allows you to be the owner of every single piece of information there. And as I said, it gets complicated, and this is why I like to use the Lego terminology, because it's easier to break down. I'm not going to lay too much information as to how it's stored and what you can do with it, what you should and shouldn't do with it, 'cause everybody's sort of like outlook's different. But blockchain takes that away from Facebook and gives it back to the owner. And for me, that's a mega thing. I mean, even let's take a TV as another example, right? You watch TV and every 15 minutes or every hour or whatever it is, they play adverts. And the company that's streaming is earning money for you watching adverts. So again, we can use Brave browser as an example, and it stops the pop-ups. It allows you to get rewarded for watching those ads. And again, just the browser, it's literally like Google Chrome, but it's a privatized one, and it allows you to earn tokens. I won't go into that though, but it takes ownership back. It gives you control over your data and does not give them the power to sell things that ultimately belong to you. I mean, so imagine a world where 5 years out, you sit down to watch TV and you have a choice to turn the ads off or on, and having the ads on would give you a reward, and having the ads off would just save you time. So it's what's beneficial to what person. Is use cases are different, but once we've tapped into that and again brought those people in, is that we can find what it is that works for each individual, each industry, and cater to each need specifically, just like every other web business does. Again, I hope this answers your question. If there's any part you want me to touch up on, obviously I'm happy to tap into it a little bit further.
So yes, what are the main advantage of the Web3, and what are the features that differences most from the Web2 or the one?
Okay, so for me, the advantages of Web3 would be, as an example, I already mentioned earlier about overseas and remittance payments. So let's take an example of somebody from India living in London and somebody from London maybe living in USA. Now they both got families there. they all do what they do, but money needs to be transferred from person to person. It could be a simple thing of maybe you're supporting a family member in India while currently working in UK as an example. So for somebody to send money overseas, it costs a lot of money and it takes a long time to clear. When we actually go to look at sort of like Web3 infrastructures for payment, and we can take XRP Ripple as an example, or Stellar Lumens as an example, and that clears almost within 3 seconds and charges not even fractions of cents. So that is a major benefit, not just for people like us, but also for people like the banks, because banks themselves hold accounts that are known as Nostro Vostro accounts, and these accounts, in a simple way to put it, is foreign exchange reserves. And a bank in the UK would hold not just GBP, they would also hold, say, like euros, pounds, euros, US dollars, and every other currency you can think of to be able to transact in those overseas payments, right? Now, having technologies like Stellar, Lumens, and Ripple, you don't actually need those Nostro Vostro accounts anymore. So it frees up a lot of capital. And that is a major benefit. Other benefits is, again, ownership of your own data, having DIDs on chain, and being able to allow people to only see parts of information that you want them to see, or that they specifically need to see for whatever reason that may be. Could be a job, could be updated driving license going forward 5 years, you know, and it doesn't reveal everything about you. Other use cases would be, again, I would have to bring up non-fungible tokens, because I believe there's so much more than what people think it is currently today. Be it most use cases right now are obviously famously known for JPEGs, right? Bored apes and whatnot. Now, when you look forward 5 years, 10 years, that's not what an NFT is. Not at all. Not to me. A non-fungible token's a lot more. It's possibly something that, you know, I've got ideas, so I can't kind of fully go in and sort of exploit what it is that I want to do with certain people and companies. But I can put it in a way where, imagine, as an example, you have a child born next week, right? And you registered a child. Obviously, we all have our birth certificates, death certificates, etc. Now, imagine this child's born, you get birth certificate, but as a non-fungible token, and everything this child does throughout its life would, let's face it, it can be tracked in ways of fitness apps, in connecting your phone to your car, going on holiday, and making all these payments from your mobile phone allows like a tracking of your carbon footprint. Imagine later on when we pass away that we'd be able to sort of like have a carbon footprint sort of on our death certificate. I think that this is ultimately a good thing, and I think that finding ways to reward and punish people with good and bad carbon footprints both will be tracked via non-fungible tokens also. And I see things like this as major benefits, because people can get rewarded just for being good actors, you know. And I think ultimately this is really how you create a better world. And blockchain, you can tap into, again, so many use cases and so many benefits that decentralized finance, you know, by not using the bank and actually owning your money and being able to do what you want with it when you want, and not having to ring the bank because they've stopped a transaction that's of a certain size, and whatever the issues are. There's a lot of issues that exist and always have existed. And again, going forward, I think we would be slightly foolish to think that we've created something that won't have problems, because don't think that could ever be true. There's completely inverse from one another, and polar opposites is by law something we know within this universe. But I think ultimately blockchain itself and Web3 itself is not even up to 1% of where it'll be in 5-10 years time. When you start looking at other technologies completely outside of blockchain, and we tap into use cases of, let's say, artificial intelligence, APT3, and you start installing different technologies inside non-fungible tokens, and then again, let's revert back to Oak, and you start putting automation layers on top of them, it's really where can the possibilities go. I think benefits that we can see, I think mostly we already know, but benefits to be had, I think, are going to come from, how can I say, sort of like technology sort of like evolving as new people come in and sort of like drop parts of new ideas that can be evolved into so much more. It looks pretty much like a flower. You plant a seed, you water the ground, you come back, and the thing looks beautiful. So let's look at blockchain like we've only just planted the seed, and who knows how it's going to look, right? Who knows? But benefits could be anything you want it to be. And I think that if you find something in modern world now that can sort of be tapped into with a technology and somehow become better, then I would urge anyone to reach out to us and sort of like put some ideas forward, because it might just be your idea that changes everything.
Oh, that's an amazing explanation. Thank you, Cyril, for that. Yeah, I think that for me, the best of Web3 is, your data is only yours. It's not for it's your data. It's not in a big server of Facebook, of Meta, of Instagram. Your data is only yours, and you own your profile, your own your wallet, and this the simply of you go to a tab built on Web3, connect your wallet, and your wallet is only a number. You connect your account, you have your wallet, your assets inside there, and you have open a new world with that app. So now we are going to talk about you have been talking about non-fungible tokens a lot, many times in these interviews. So now we are going to talk about non-fungible tokens. We love non-fungible tokens. We have seen amazing projects there in Twitter, in Polkadot, in Kusama. But for people who don't know what is an NFT, a non-fungible token, can you explain how this helps the world and how this can be possible?
Yeah, so I think I would explain it a little bit differently from a lot of other people in respects, because I'd explain it exactly as it is in one aspect is, forget about JPEGs, forget pictures, forget nested NFTs and everything you actually know about a non-fungible token. And let's look at, should we just say Ethereum? Let's look at Ethereum and Bitcoin. Now, they're fungible tokens because each single one of them is exactly the same as the other than the actual code of the coin. They're exactly the same. They have the same value. Now, non-fungible means one of a kind. There's only one unit of this. So fungible and non-fungible is relevant to everything else in the world other than just tokens, and there's fungible and non-fungible assets in every single class, right? And for me, I would explain a non-fungible token being that it's unique, and usually that uniqueness is tied to what people currently know as my image has a hat, or my Bored Ape has a cigarette or whatever it is in his mouth, and that's what creates that uniqueness, just that one thing that every single one is different. Now, when you actually again go to 5-10 years out, is that those non-fungible tokens become personal. So just like people, right, where every person's unique and individual, so are non-fungible tokens. And I think that when you start looking at things in that way, take away the image, is that you're just left with fungible and non-fungible. And I think that's the best way to explain it, is that every Bitcoin is worth the same value, whereas non-fungible tokens would have something unique about them that makes each one different from the other, and that would be irrelevant in token terms as to how many tokens are in that collection. They would all have to be different to be non-fungible, in my opinion. So that's probably the best way I'd explain it, sort of like in a broken down format.
Yes, it's an awesome explanation, and taking advantage that the fact we are inside in this topic, how is a non-fungible token related to the Web3 or to the blockchain?
Okay, so just be it that actually they're code, right? They're cryptographic. So it would be no different from, let's say, if the Bored Ape collection were actually canvas drawn pieces of art, you know, in a way, would they have gone as high as they went in value? Would as many people go to the shop to actually purchase them? I'm not convinced. So when you put that into a non-fungible token, and imagine that art piece where somebody would have had to travel to a specific location to get that specific artwork, is that now you don't need to. You know, you can just download the wallet, tap into the NFT marketplace and purchase that piece of art, using art as the example. I mean, most of us already know that music's going to become non-fungible tokens. I don't think anybody's got it right yet, including the developers and the platforms that are currently on the market. They're, in my opinion, they're not built for music. They're built by a developer, and they're built, how can I say, as a developer thinks it should be, when really what we need to do is, if, for example, we're looking to bring musicians to bring their use cases to non-fungible tokens. I mean, there's a million ways you can do this. I think that you need to have the developer, you need to have a singer, you need to have a sound engineer, you need these people with you when you build these products. Otherwise, ultimately, most of them products won't work. And it's not to put anything down. I just look at things with that 5-10 year vision, and I know that whatever it is that's being done now is just sort of like a transition period. It's an evolution, you know. It's the caterpillar turned into a butterfly, if you will. And yeah, for me, it's the evolution of what they will become.
Amazing explanation, Zero. Thank you. So now, Zero, we are going to enter to your brand, DOTSAMAHUB. We have been seeing that DOTSAMAHUB contains, we can deduce that you focus on the Dotsama community, Polkadot and Kusama. And why do you move through that community, and what attracts you from Dotsama?
Oh, brilliant question. It's a really good question. So I'll be honest, I think the first line I have to hit with is how I like to introduce it now, being honest about. I've been at Polkadot as long as Gavin Wood, is what I like to say. I actually followed him here, you know, when he started putting parity and substrate together originally, which was Polkadot. It's his Web3 vision that draws me. And as I say, where everybody else looks at Polkadot, Kusama ecosystem like it's complicated, it's not. It's just needs to be digested, as I said, with those Legos. And coming into this ecosystem, we don't sort of like look for that number one layer one chain. We're not looking for, you know, that next big team, because it's actually a piece of every single chain. It's a piece of every team that ultimately put the next layer in place. So you would have a second layer, and then you would have dApps that would be built pulling pull requests, which would basically be a better way to put it, would be pull functionality from each chain to create that use case. So as an example, I want to have my payments automated to sort of like pay wages out. Being a business owner, I want to pay everybody autonomously, and I want everything to be tracked so that I don't have to give them check-in, check-out times. They can sort of like clock in and clock out and be paid for things simultaneously and autonomously. Would be having this person's DID, which is taking kilt, putting it inside a non-fungible token using unique, and attaching an automation layer from Oak, and probably using Pendulum to deal with the stablecoin payments. And by putting those things together allows a business to create that infrastructure that only needs to be set up once, and it will just continuously do what it needs to do. And having someone work through NFTs, if you will, is sort of like a way to track it. So again, you would have origin trail connected to it, so that you've got the graph to verify things, you know, and then relieve data and send it into Crust to stop things congesting. So again, it can get complicated because it's like the electric circuit board in everybody's house, right? If you open up the circuit board, you look at a load of wires and it looks complicated, but when you actually break it down and understand where each one goes and what each one does, anybody could wire their house. It's really the truth of it, you know. So again, with blockchains, the same thing, and I see the simplicity as well as the scalability with Polkadot. And this is before we start on security, right? I mean, you guys yourselves know about Polkadot, and Polkadot is secure because of the relay. I mean, it's very in depth to start getting into, if I'm to be perfectly honest, because it's something I like to really concrete into people. But I am probably most bullish about is security, and that security is far superior to anything else on the market. Now, personally, I've been in the space since 2015 and had knowledge since 2013. So I would be honest, I've seen a lot happen, come and go, a lot been built, a lot fail, and obviously a lot of succeeding in a sense, right? But ultimately, nobody's tapped the end game yet. We're not at the end game. So actually, nobody succeeded yet. So let's look at it sort of in that view, is that what would it take, for example, for somebody to understand sort of like what I'm explaining? So you can look at other chains like Solana, right? And you don't need me to convince you that Solana's broke multiple times. You go to ETH, you can use ETH, but you know, once it's congested, again, it's the gas fees, right? Everybody complains about gas fees. Now, I'm not to put any other ecosystem down, because I've watched all of them sort of like come from nothing, and ultimately it's not about this chain or this ecosystem versus this one, because when you look at things on the macro and the world population, if we're to compete with each other, then arguably we're competing for 0.01% of a world population, which to me is pathetic. It's, why don't we just work together? There's some things that every single chain has done right and some things that have done wrong, whereas Polkadot to me has yet to be faulted in any single way. I mean, there's probably, as anywhere else in any trade, any ecosystem, in any part of life, there's probably some people you may get along with, some people you don't, some things you like, some things you don't, things you won't understand, and things that you do. But it's the same in every aspect of life, right? So Polkadot for me is ultimately the end game, because the vision was kind of set in play, and I think that how I explain the problems sort of like to arise is that I actually think Gavin knew 10 years, 5 years ago, sorry, what sort of problems we were running into. You know, he knew when he published the yellow paper for ETH, and played his role there, is that he knew there was a problem. So if I can give an advice to someone, is to probably study the developers themselves, and don't follow hype trains in brand new products. It's follow the developers, and follow the ones that work and constantly commit. So get a GitHub account. The hub would be here to provide you some sort of help along setting those accounts up, if it's okay to say so. So obviously anyone's free to reach out to us on our socials as well. But I would say, yeah, follow the developers, find a nice community, and just indulge in Web3 and sort of bring your niche. Don't change anything about anyone. Just sort of Polkadot welcomes everyone. So yeah, come to Polkadot and sort of, yeah, just vibe with us.
Okay, thank you for this explanation about the Dotsama community, and of course thank you for this advice that you just tell us. And talking about that, for our viewers, let's imagine that I am a user, a normal user, who is delving into your community, and I want to help or send a suggestion that I think can help the team. Can I do it? And if that is the case, can you explain how, please?
Okay, so yeah, I won't like to speak for every team. I mean, I can be honest in the interview and say I'm ambassador for quite a few companies. I won't disclose all of those right now. Quite a few have mentioned. I would say best way for someone new is to join the Discords. If you've got suggestions and ideas, go specifically to the chain, the developer, or the persons that you've got an idea for, and just reach out to them. Just literally just reach out to them, drop them a message. If they don't reply, send another message. It's just because, how can I put this? I think if you knock on the door long enough, someone's going to answer, right? So just, yeah, knock on the door. And if you're new to the ecosystem, or you want to get involved in Polkadot, you want to learn Polkadot, and you got suggestions, then the hub's always open. And as you know, we've got voting channels for many things, including things that could be implemented, ideas. You've got anything literally you want in terms of information and education and ideas. I'd be more than happy to hear and listen to almost literally everyone, and onboard those ideas and those people, because everybody's relevant, right? So yeah, I would welcome you with open arms. I know that yourselves would as well. So yeah, I would just say literally get involved. Discord's usually the best way to contact people. Personally, I find from my experience in terms of company, but Telegram can be quite effective also. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You will have all the Discord, the Telegram of DOTSAMAHUB in the description of the video. You can chat with him and with all the community, all the family of DOTSAMAHUB that we love. And yeah, find amazing projects there. Now we are arriving to the final of this interview, but we are going to announce, we are delegated to announce a big and amazing metaverse built on Minecraft game. Zero, can you explain how we are building this, and how this Minecraft metaverse will will go? Because I think it's an amazing idea, an amazing amazing goals that we have. We are building it with a very enthusiast, and I think that it will love the Sama community. So now, Zero, is your turn to talk about the server, and we are going to discuss it because we are building it with we have revealed this bomb to the community, and I think that it's amazing. So now, Zero, you can talk about the server, and talk about it.
Yeah, I'm actually stoked you mentioned that, and as you know, I'm very excited and happy that we're working together and doing such things. So without further ado, I think personally, let's look at NFT collections as a primary example. Is that most of those are limited, right? I mean, 90% of them, to my knowledge, are capped at 10,000 non-fungible tokens, and this creates, how can I say, what's the word I'm looking for? This creates sort of like an exclusivity, right? Whereas what we're doing is inverse. We want to be inclusive, and there's no NFT involved. Everything's free. We're not trying to charge anyone anything. And as you know, the guys putting buildings together for certain teams that are inside our ecosystem as well, which I think is ultimately is brilliant for everyone. I think I can see into the future, you know, that Sama School is something we're working on, and I think so. Sama School is a place where you can come and learn in live classroom environments that would also be recorded and streamed on YouTube, and we can have that university also inside our Discord. Sorry, not Discord. Inside a Minecraft server, and you know, look how many people use Minecraft. So when you look at that and you look at how many people use blockchain, you can see there's more people that use Minecraft, right? So I think when you connect things together like this, is that you can bring different communities in, and then you can add things like non-fungible tokens at a later time, and that allows somebody from outside to then start interacting with non-fungible tokens without having to go and study a blockchain, because it's just been introduced inside a Minecraft server, for example. So that's a future prospect. I mean, I see from a metaverse prospect, Minecraft server, I think once you start sort of like providing things and allow people to come in for free and get information for free, is that creates that bigger, more solid foundation of a community, and also that we can evolve things inside Minecraft, right? We can plug it into a blockchain as well. We can run games and all sorts of things inside there that reward people as well at obviously a later date. And I think that ultimately right now, just building that community that want to come there every day and do something and help us with input, you know, like maybe we could do this to get certain attractions here, or get more happening here, or people from this group over. And I think when you start tapping into different communities and bringing those people on board in such subtle ways, is that's probably what you want to start doing in terms of an adoption feel, right? But I see the blockchain as not the blockchain, sorry, the metaverse and the Minecraft server as an evolution to us being able to even have, just for example, you could have like a hub dex, and you could have that plugged into the back end of, let's call it a coin bureau inside the Minecraft server, and somebody would say come in and earn XP, so some points that they can then exchange for coins, for example. Or maybe we partner with a parachain that sort of like give rewards for certain tasks, and they would be able to do those tasks, get those rewards, and use the decks in the background. So again, if we took an example of Zeitgeist, right, which is a parachain for a prediction market, we could plug it into sort of like a bookies that potentially sits inside the Minecraft server. So for me, the possibilities of it are really endless. But initially, I think the attraction is, as we said and we know, is being able to just allow people to come in and being inclusive rather than exclusive. Because when people, come into something and something's introduced in more of a subtle way, other than sort of like just force feeding information on people. It's discreetly done, and someone can more naturally find their feet within it, right? Because a Minecraft user and a blockchain Web3 Minecraft user are two different users, but when you put them together, you know, it's a different type of evolution you're looking at, and that's what I'm excited about for Minecraft. And I think the possibilities are endless. And yeah,
Yeah, totally agree with you. We are very excited for the server. Imagine you taking a break, walking on the street of the main street of Access City, and you know, get involved with your favorite project, talk with them, see the photos inside the houses. It will be, amazing. We are currently developing, and amazing news are coming soon. So stay tuned in our social network on CoinReference and on DOTSAMAHUB networks. We will be there for sure. And we are at the end of this interview. DOTSAMAHUB, Mike, Zero. So thank you for being with us today. Now you're free to tell us whatever you want, please, to conclude this amazing interview, Zero.
just thank you for having us. Thanks for bringing us on. Obviously, people know we sort of like work together and do things behind the interview as well. So yeah, I'm happy to just, I'm just happy every day to be involved in Web3, right? I mean, what else would you do? I mean, for me, I just love, I like the buzz of it. It's people who are out there all day, every day doing this, whether it's just tweeting stuff, sort of like promoting the companies that they like, building communities, and being able to sort of like position yourself in, let's call it current market conditions, to be able to be somewhere when you go forward, and be able to be in a position that, like, there's so much information that's scattered, and it's mostly in one language, and it's hard to get solid information, follow actual links without hitting an efficient site. So that's ultimately what the hub's trying to do, is just be there for the next wave of people and kind of protect most of them from sort of like the outside. Yeah, I'd like to just add that, if I'm being honest, that if same as the team here at CoinReference, I know that both teams are willing to help out and sort of just here to safeguard that next community coming through, right, for the next years ahead, and sort of evolve on it.
Yeah, for sure. We are here for helping you building amazing stuff. So, for our listeners, thanks for listening about this amazing interview, and see you only in 2 hours with Ajuna Finance. Thank you, Zero, for be with us, and goodbye.
Bye bye. Thank you.